I call the member for Petrie.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Trade and Investment. Will the Minister please update the House on responses to the campaign of misinformation being waged against the landmark free trade agreement between Australia and China? How will the agreement create jobs and growth for the people of Petrie and for all Australians?
I call the Minister for Trade and Investment. Member for Wills will cease interjecting.
Thanks, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for his question. Of course, Moreton Bay Seafoods and his electorate exports already to China a large number of prawns. 10% tariff on prawns. That'll come down to zero under this free trade agreement. The member is doing so much to promote these agreements within his electorate. Mr Speaker, I was asked how the agreement creates jobs and growth.
I remind him, has been warned twice.
Could I share one example? Could I give you one example? Just last week I met the Managing Director of Fresh Select, John Said, a supplier of fresh produce to the Australian supermarket trade. John told me how Fresh Select is working with China Merchants, which is a major transport and distribution company in China, on a new business model for sending high-quality Australian food and beverages directly to growers and manufacturers, directly to families in China. Produce will arrive from Australia direct into a massive warehouse in Shenzhen, which is already being prepared. Customers by the thousands will order online and be given an electronic access code. Their order will be robotically filled and couriered directly to their apartment block to be put into lockers on the ground floor for secure accessing by the code. Once accessed, the locker is then available for another customer. The system provides an assurance of true Aussie provenance to purity-conscious Chinese consumers. It cuts out the middlemen who soak up margins, and it delivers a higher price to the farm gate. And all through the supply chain, this new premium market creates jobs and more jobs, not just in production, in packaging, in transport and logistics, storage, finance, insurance, and the list goes on. What excited me about this story was a new major Australian business is being created today in the expectation of the free trade agreement passing and coming into force in January. I was asked who's standing in the way. Well, we just saw 2 nights ago, we witnessed in the chamber the member for Bendigo declaring that it was alarming for consumers to think they could call an electrician to their home and not know whether that person knew what they were doing. Mr Speaker, this is a disgrace. This is recklessness. You're not in university anymore. This is real politics, has real consequences. And of course the member was following the instruction of the ETU, who robocalled my electorate, passing on the same message. And what happened?
The member for Lyons.
The next 2 days I had many seniors ringing my office, frightened about electricians they'd had to their house in the last few weeks. What a shameful thing you've done.
Members on my right.
The facts are that NECA, the organisation representing 50,000 electricians, have said, and I quote, based on our discussions,
the
NECA is satisfied there will be no—
His time has expired.